A little bit more rage-inducing for you. Some of you may have seen that television drama about the post office scandal. I've not actually seen it because I don't have to tell it, but I have been reading the actual judgment in that case. And it's very, very interesting, but one particular aspect I want to concentrate on is how the interview process worked. Now, the thing to remember is these were private prosecutions. It was actually the post office who brought these prosecutions, as you know, anybody is entitled to. Anybody can bring a private prosecution in this country. But they also did their own investigations and their own interviews. I'm going to tell you what the rules were for those interviews, and you can make your own mind up as to what you think of them. People, they weren't allowed to have lawyers. They signed a contract. And in their contract it said, you know, basically something called the investigations division runs the investigation. So they couldn't have lawyers. They could, however, have a friend with them. But that friend, all they could do was sit next to them and take notes. They weren't allowed to speak to the suspect, to use a neutral term, and they weren't even allowed to communicate in any way, including just signalling to them. And it was expressly stated in the rules that anything like that and the person would be asked to leave. Also, they said that any communications had to be done in writing, and they had to be in the strictest confidence, and they could only be disclosed to the post office. They weren't allowed to disclose to anybody else. And they said, because that might be a breach of the Official Secret Act, which of course it wouldn't be. I mean, there is this whole thing that we always say, the Official Secret Act doesn't protect secrets, it protects officials. But yeah, I just thought you might find that sort of, you know, just really scandalous. And you can see why people were sort of railroaded into things, because, you know, they were prohibited, or they were told they were prohibited from actually seeking legal advice or passing on any information to lawyers. So there you go. The reason I'm filming this here, this is actually now one of my favourite pubs, but it used to be the headquarters of what they call the packet ships, which were the ships that were contracted to deliver mail. And it's also the site where the first time the Riot Act was ever read, because the people who worked on the packet ships had a bit of a row with their bosses. So they all assembled just on the steps there, and they came out and said, if you do not disperse, we will, you know, effectively arrest you or shoot you. And I just thought that tied in quite nicely with the general theme, because, you know, sort of anger with the mail, you know, anger with the post office, or the equivalent of the post office as it was back in the day. But there you go. I'm going to do more about this. I'll wait till that TV series is finished. You know, no spoilers. Although, you know, I don't think it's big secret that you know, the outcome is the post office weren't very nice. And it's interesting now that the police are investigating. They're investigating for fraud. They haven't said whether that's individuals or the post office as an entity. And also, arising out of that Bates case, a couple of the Fujitsu witnesses, the judge said, I want their witness statements and my notes to be sent to the Director of Public Prosecutions with a view to investigating whether they have perjured themselves. So there you go. As always, hope you found that vaguely interesting, vaguely useful, wildly infuriating. If you did so, please consider clicking, liking, sharing and subscribing.